Hello, new and faithful listeners, and welcome to Remainders, the podcast dedicated to exploring the wonder and joy that is the movies, the old, the new, the remembered, and the ones that can sometimes be forgotten. My name is Darren Varell, and as we record this episode, it is July 9th, 2025. Before we begin, I would be remiss not to mention the passing of Michael Madsen last week. So long, Michael. We'll think of you every time we hear Stuck in the Middle and hold on to our ears very tightly. In tribute, I'd like to just say one thing. To my brother Bud, the only man I ever loved, Bill. Now, onto the podcast. Today, we're watching a film that rivals only kids for the most traumatic film a coming-of-age teen can watch. Bully from 2001 tells the story of a bunch of Florida kids with a lot of time on their hands. So what else is there to do but have sex, do drugs, and plot a murder? Florida, right? Every single relationship in this film is toxic, but the one that really unites the group in murder is that of Bobby Kent, played by Nick Stahl, and Marty Puccio, played by the late Brad Renfro. This relationship has been thick with abuse since they were kids, and it culminates in a crime so hard to watch that I almost called Pat here and told him we got to pick another film to review. This is a very first watch for me, the first time I've picked a film that I haven't seen before in filming an episode, and I'll probably never do that again. I went into it blind and certainly have a lot of hot takes and opinions on this film, which I absolutely, I wasn't expecting this to go the way it went. Patrick, it's time to trauma bond over Bully, but you know that dream you have about us moving to Florida to become beach bums and surfers is probably something I'm going to hold off on for now.
I mean, I was expecting that dream to follow through for the rest of your career, but I don't know. Maybe it's killed now. So,
unfortunately, I had to watch Bully, and I'm thinking differently. But literally, my first time watching this film, I've heard about it for years. And man, oh man, I don't know. Like, I liked it. There's no doubt about it. It's on Criterion, right? So I'm like, okay. And I have this thing about Brad Renfro. When he died, I was kind of like, what the fuck? It always like really kind of like, I don't know. It kind of got at me for some reason. It just felt weird. And I was like, I'm going to finally watch this film. I had no clue what it was about, based on a true story, which is another reason why it's hard to watch some of these scenes because you know that this is based on a true story. And and also just not super familiar with this pack of actors, especially all of them together. I've known them from separate things, but seeing them all together is interesting. And also, when you kind of step back from it, they've all had some sort of trouble in real life as well, which also kind of, you watch it with that lens. If you're like me and you know actors' personal lives, I know you don't really care about that too much, but it's an interesting watch with that in mind.
What was the best tidbit that came to mind while watching one of these actors? I'm really curious on the insight of your TMZ-addled mind.
Well, Bijou Phillips had just gone through some shit with her husband going through a trial last year and going to jail.
Oh, okay. I didn't expect that level of detail, actually, when I asked that. So that's good.
I mean, Brad Renfro died of a heroin overdose.
True.
Nick Stahl had his own issues and demons to deal with, sort of similar to Brad Renfro. And then Michael Pitt recently has had a lot of run-ins with the law over the last couple of years, on top of being, I don't know, like so good in Boardwalk Empire. He's just kind of had some trouble as of late. So I don't know, it's interesting. This cast is, I didn't even know that the director was the director of Kids. I obviously know Harmony Korine had written Kids, but after watching this and then researching it, I was like, holy shit, of course this movie feels this way. It's like from the same guy who did Kids.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. A lot to unpack there. So I was a little surprised that you chose this. I'm all for it, but you suggesting it, I was like, all right, I see it. And then you're like, oh yeah, I've never seen it before. And I was like, oh shit, he's in for a ride right now. Cause I had seen this like when it came out, like on HBO, like right when it came out on HBO. So this came out in 2001. So I probably watched this in 2002, still in high school. And I had seen Kids even before that. And yeah, these are terrifying fucking movies when you're young. It's like,
yeah. I mean, kids, I remember, you know, for sure being scared out of my mind. If I had to worry about like anything with unprotected sex, I definitely didn't, you know, think twice after seeing kids. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah. And that is surprising that you chose this, not knowing that Larry Clark directed it. Yeah. The director of Kids. I figured that was like a huge reason for it, but,
no, I mean, and just not to interject too much here, because I want to hear your takes, but I just didn't know, because I don't like to research them that way. I don't think you do either, but I don't really like to dive in too much about what it's about or anything like that before I watch a film. And for this movie, all I knew was like the poster for forever, you know? So as soon as I saw it on Criterion, I was like, boys, I'm interested, and I didn't know anything going into it, and I wasn't going to research before I watched it. So
yeah, no, I got you. I mean, yeah, I don't look at what the movie's about, but the pedigree, like who wrote it, who directed it. I mean, those are always the first things I look at in terms of like choosing a new movie. I mean, you know, a director's like an author. It's like if you read one book by an author, you want to read another one. It's the same thing with the director. So that's a fantastic reason to watch Bully if you have not seen it. Yeah, this is a mean, dirty little fucking movie that I had to watch just today while working on my computer at home. So yeah, it was fun to revisit it. Not so fun to watch it. I mean, I do like this movie quite a bit. It is like an exercise in exploitation, especially of the time. One thing I was thinking about was like, so this was made like right before 9/11. And it captures the tone of that pre 9/11 era where like kids are fucking horrible, like kids in general, not the movie, but like the idea of youth in revolt or being amoral or being degenerate youth. Kids were just seen as like a major scourge on society, like in the late 90s. And so
I mean, I was in it as a kid, so I guess I didn't even really realize that was a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it just was kind of the vibe of the late 90s. It was like whatever like problems with society, not everything, like obviously this is just like one thing, but like, you know, there was a moral conservative type vibe in the 90s, and youth being out of control was like a major aspect of that. So just watching this like had like it was just kind of giving vibes of that. It's like it's certainly a relic of its time. It's like I fortunately that's not really like how society has felt about young people since then, but like it was specific to that time era. So
wow.
I mean, they were all talking about you and your little punk band in the 90s. So that's what they were busting.
Yeah, this guy, we got to calm him down. You know, what is he? Is he taking drugs over there? Right. I can clearly say that my booze didn't need nobody, thankfully, during those times. But not to quote Rick Dalton or anything, but yeah, my booze did not need nobody. So while I drank a little bit too much those days, I was not doing drugs like these kids are doing in this film. I mean, I didn't know anybody who had mafia ties or anything like that, you know?
Yeah, I'm in the same group as you, but so I was right there with it. So, yeah. So, I mean, the cast certainly was a major standout. Even though not all young faces, like every performance in this movie is great. I think the standout is actually Lisa. Is that her name? Rachel Miner.
Yeah, she went on to do to be a pretty big actress after this. I mean, at least for the next decade, I think. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really recognize her other than this, but I felt like she was kind of the standout of the movie, partly because the movie, like she's kind of the protagonist of the movie. Like, even though it like, certainly doesn't feel like that way, but like, she gets the majority of drive, like in terms of like a character arc, and she's like the impetus for like everything that basically happens. So it's like her rage that she's experiencing is like what drives them to basically decide to try to murder Bobby. So
I didn't quite catch why until I was reading the synopsis on Wikipedia to try to get kind of like pull in, like you said, all the things, who worked on it, when it was made, and other like things about like the writing and stuff like that. And one thing that I didn't pick up from the movie, or I saw it, of course, but it's so fucked up that I just like didn't put two and two together that, yeah, the reason she's the protagonist really is because she was raped too. And clearly it happened. And there was the scene in the movie when Brad Renfro and her were having sex, and then Nick Stahl like beat him up and then had sex with her too. And so there's the question of whose baby is this, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so basically that, and her scenes, like when she's by herself and like showing all the rage against Bobby, like, or like some of the like best parts of the movie, I felt like. So
I mean, totally, it's weird because it was my first watch and I was just totally blown away, but I was like, why is she so pissed at Bobby? Like, why is she the one who's so pissed? But of course, after I watched, it's like, oh, you fucking dummy.
Yeah, but it's also, I mean, it's also not just everything that's happening. I mean, all the kids are kind of angry and pissed off. I mean, there's a lot of just young anger in this movie. So, yeah. I mean, it's just there, recurrent with all the characters, even though like it's kind of funny to watch all of them basically just throw their hands up on the second half. Basically, oh, I was there, but I had nothing to do with the murder at all. So
like the dude, you stabbed him like 30 times. Like, yeah, but I didn't kill him. You know,
there was so many conversations of whether or not somebody's culpable, and they're just like, I mean, yeah, I was in the room and I had the gun, but I didn't do anything.
Right. So. Yeah, like all of a sudden the guy who like carried him to the, well, we'll get to it, but everybody's like kind of skirting the blame.
Yeah. And that is, I mean, that's what also stood out. It's like, I mean, this movie's not like blaming really anybody. It's almost blaming everybody equally. It's like, we could talk about it, like the parents' lack of like, not necessarily involvement, but just the parents' lack of ability to see anything going on is like pretty intentional. Like there's enough scenes with like parents talking to these kids.
Yeah.
And they're all just like so ambivalent. Yeah, they'll give like an eye, like, oh, I don't know what this kid's doing right now. But
yeah,
like,
I'll crack the door and see these kids, and they're like, two of them have their shirt off, and like the girls are like laying on them. But I'm just gonna go, okay, you kids, be good.
Right.
You know.
I mean, there's enough to where it's like the parents are just like not giving anything to the kids at all. But then at the same time, all the kids are fucking shitheads too. So like they're fucking douchebags. It's like, so it's like, it's a pretty even, just like all around, like the scenario for raising a child in this era, in this space and time was going to go one way and probably not a good one. So,
well, this is actually based on a true story, as I said at the top. And I know that they embellished a few things for dramatic purposes as per movie law, but at the same time, I think it wasn't that far removed from when the murders actually happened. So it comes out in 2001, right? But the actual murder in real life happened in 1995. Is that correct?
I mean, that sounds right. Jim Schutz is the author of the original book. I think I saw 95. And yeah, I mean, all the stuff that we've been talking about so far feels more like Larry Clark following up kids and kind of that vibe of it. But obviously the story was some of it in there. So, I mean, I didn't look too much into the book, but one thing I saw a lot of people saying are like, the Bobby kid was actually like way worse in real life than he's portrayed in this movie. So,
oh, really?
Like, which is like, you watch this and Nick Stahl is like so good as being such a fucking psychopathic douchebag. You're like, oh wait, the real guy was worse than that. So, well,
I was reading through a few of the critical responses after this, and most of them weren't super like friendly to this film. But I gotta say,
it was pretty split.
But Ebert gave it 4 out of 4 stars, and I just wanted to read this because it's kind of touches on what you said. This was in an excerpt from Roger Ebert, who we love on this podcast. If you've listened before, Chicago hero to us. And I think our first episode was actually on life itself. That was our very first episode. So you can go back and listen to that on the great Roger Ebert. But his review at the time, or an excerpt of it, said Larry Clark's Bully calls the bluff of movies that pretend to be about murder, but are really about entertainment. His film has all the sadness and shabbiness, all the mess and cruelty and thoughtless stupidity of the real thing. The movie is brilliantly and courageously well acted by its young cast. It's one of those movies so perceptive and wounding that there's no place for the actors to hide, no cop-out they can exercise. Clark is obviously obsessed by the culture of floating, unplugged teenagers. Sometimes his camera seems too willing to watch during the scenes of nudity and sex, and there is one particular shot that seems shameless in its voyeurism. But it's this very drive that fuels his film. If the director doesn't have a strong personal feeling about material like this, he shouldn't be making movies about it. I believe Bully is a masterpiece on its own terms, a frightening indictment of society that offers absolutely nothing to some of its children, and an indictment of the children who lack the imagination and courage to try to escape. Bobby and his killers deserve one another. Talk about a fucking masterclass in writing right there, by the way. Roger Ebert.
Yeah, so I had that exact same spot, but only the last sentence. Believing it's a masterpiece, and that's what kind of stood out to me. Offers absolutely nothing to some of his children, and an indictment of the children who lack the imagination and courage to try to escape. Repeat that last part, or no? It was halfway through it. You said the kids have an air of nothingness. Was that?
Oh yeah, yeah. So it said it was in pertaining to the director. He said if the director doesn't have a strong personal feeling about material like this, he shouldn't be making movies about it. I believe Bully is a masterpiece on its own terms, a frightening indictment of a society that offers absolutely nothing to some of its children. So the society has nothing to offer them. And I don't know what Ebert's talking about, right? Is he talking about art? Is he talking about schooling? I don't know, but he's talking about if they've got nothing, this is kind of what happens.
They got Pizza Hut. That's what they got. So
they sure did. Yeah.
No, yeah, that definitely stuck out with me. Yeah, it's the kids. They got sex, drugs, video games, and Eminem. That's what they got in this movie. So
fucking Eminem is so perfect. It dates it so well.
I saw that Eminem gave him the rights to use the music in the movie because he was such a big fan of the movie Kids. So
yeah. That's what I read that.
And too. it was beautiful watching it. It was Forget About Dre in 2001 playing on MTV. So it was like a perfect time capsule. Like I said, the exact vibe of the area. So,
and at the time it probably felt like you were watching this film and it felt so current, I bet, for people.
Oh, totally. But yeah, back to Ebert. Yeah, he definitely, as usual, nails it quite a bit. Yeah, I was surprised that you gave it 4 out of 4. So that's pretty impressive.
Also, though, the guy who is into exploitation films, Ebert was. So
Ebert was a huge fan of exploitation. So, although not horror exploitation, he didn't always appreciate that. So, yeah, I think that sums it up quite well. And like I said, it is just like the crazy kids just and their sex, drugs, video games, and rock and roll. Less rock and roll here, but like I said, Eminem. So definitely is kind of the vibe of watching this movie. And like I said, time capsule of the era for that. So, but it is a sweaty fucking movie. It's like Florida. Everybody's always got dirty fucking loose baggy clothes on or half clothed. And half the movie is either sex or them just going to or coming from sex. So,
well, I was about to say Florida as the character in this. So we've covered Florida before on this podcast with our episode on the Florida Project. Different film, but also a very big player in the story. I think Florida is that way too. Here, they're not saying too much about it, but they are definitely making sure that this is in South Florida, right?
Yeah, you just kind of get the vibe of it anyway. Well, the Kids was set in New York, right? This is a pretty New York movie,
I think so. Definitely felt very city. I can't recall for sure, but yeah. So
I kind of like that duality. It goes from one extreme kind of Americana to the other. So, written. So we talked about it's based on the novel from Jim Shoots. The screenplay was written by David McKenna, who also did the screenplays for American History X and Blow before this. So pretty heavy hitter. Ended up largely pushing the movie because of Columbine happening shortly before this and getting it produced. Turns out he actually didn't like the movie at all, the way it turns out. So he actually went under the pseudonym Zachary Long. So that's why you'll see written by Zachary Long. That's actually David McKenna that I just mentioned. So he was not a fan of how the movie turned out based on his initial script, apparently. So,
you obviously we won't know what his main points were that he didn't like, but how do you tell the story different than this? I'm sure other creative people that are better than at telling movie stories can, fight me about it, but it's pretty real, You know?
Yeah, I think I saw it, but maybe he had more stuff closer to the book, including a lot of the courtroom stuff. So I think that was part
and they don't show that at all.
They don't show it. They barely show it, just for like a couple seconds at the very end of the sentencing. But I got the vibe that he had more of like almost like a courtroom procedural type drama. I'm like thinking about American History X, the way that movie's edited, kind of with time. I could have seen it going more that direction.
We're going to cover that film, by the way, on this podcast. What a terrific film that is.
I haven't seen that.
I know, it's been a while.
Since it came out, close to it. I watched it a couple of times when it first came out on HBO, but I have not seen it since. So,
yeah, oh man, there's some tough scenes to watch in that too.
Yeah,
but the thing is I'm not like against watching tough films and stuff like that. But it's so funny to think at like, 44 years old, I'm still as squeamish about this stuff and like really like timid about the subject matter as I was back when I was that age. I don't, I'm an older man now and I'm not the age that these kids are, but at some point I was when I was watching, kids or whatever. And I have the same feeling now as I did then, which is, I think, an interesting thing for me to like realize is like, no matter what age you are, this is like pretty upsetting and disturbing.
Yeah, but that's what makes it entertaining. Come on, but
I didn't dislike the film. I did.
Yeah, no, I know. I got
and
you.
I also think like that's such a captured in time. When I was watching this, like, I don't know, I saw Nick Stahl on the street one time eating at a restaurant with his daughter, and I was like, God, that's fucking Nick Stahl, fucking Terminator and shit, like obviously not he's not Edward Furlong Terminator, no. But kind of like, and then also he had that HBO show. I mean, the guy had like a really, really good, he was doing really well. So does Brad Renfro, and Bijou Phillips has done well. Like this cast was put together as like the it kind of actors of the time.
Yeah, it's true. Nick Stahl, I actually didn't realize it was the same year. One of my favorite movies that he's in is In the Bedroom, based on the Andrew Dubois novel. Have you seen that one? Todd Field directed?
I haven't. I think it won the Oscar, didn't it? Or
yeah, I'm sure it won something, but I don't remember what awards it won. Tom Wilkenson, Sissy Spacek, and Nick Stahl plays their son. Fucking awesome movie. I absolutely love the great
Wilkenson, man.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it's the exact same year as this one. So,
can I just do a quick aside because we just talked about Wilkenson. What were we talking last time about how you love Batman Begins?
I love Batman Begins. I do. I like Begins more than Dark Knight.
Okay.
That's my favorite of the trilogy. So.
When we talked about it last time, I was like, fuck you. Are you crazy? But we just watched, because she had never seen Begins. She remembers Dark Knight, of course. Who didn't see fucking Dark Knight, right? But we watched Begins and we were both like, yeah, fuck yeah, And afterwards we watched Dark Knight and I was like, Pat was fucking right. Yeah. Like it didn't hold up. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. And so was she. And we're just kind of like, God damn, like Begins was so good. And that made us not want to watch like Rises then after that.
Rises was always pretty clearly the weakest of the three. And Dark Knight, there was something. I mean, I fucking love it. Dark Knight. I mean, the thing about Dark Knight is Heath Ledger is not only as good as everybody says, he's even better. Like that is like one of the best performances of all time. So it's like that movie will always be like always worth your time and one of the best comic movies ever because of Heath Ledger. But in terms of like, I don't know, the pacing and the action, I mean, the last like 45 minutes of Dark Knight is pretty fucking boring. Like the whole boat stuff. Like, I don't know. Like it's just.
What's the fuck? The boat stuff when it comes, it's like, get out of here. Yeah.
It's so I mean, it's still a masterpiece. I love it. But I always love the tone and the vibe and the pacing.
I mean, I was shocked. I was shocked when I was watching. I was like, why did I have such a perception that this was like such a great movie? And it is because of what you just said. Heath Ledger kicks fucking ass in it.
Because Dark Knight was pretty revelatory at the time, but yeah, I mean, and speaking of Tom Wilkenson, that fucking accent he's got in there, that
he's like, your daddy, he begged.
like a dog.
Like a dog. Oh man, he's so good.
Yeah. And yeah, like the final 30 minutes of that is like a horror film. I mean, with the scarecrow stuff, killing Murphy, and like just the way Batman's portrayed in some of those nightmare visions. Liam Neeson kicking ass. Yeah. I always.
You talking about It Begins? Yeah.
It Begins. Yeah. The last 45 minutes of that one, it's like it's almost like a horror film. So.
Man, I love it. And I was doing it the whole time, like,
why was he? Swear to me.
The fucking voice is so good. All right. Anyway, back to Bull. I didn't mean to do the aside, but when you said Wilkenson, I was like,
no, yeah. Well, we'll trace back. I mean, we were talking about Nick Stahl. John Connor. I mean, he played John Connor, sequel to the James Cameron movies. 160.
James Cameron. What does that remind you of?
163 days until Avatar 3. Just to give you a heads up there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I was wondering when that would come up.
Right. I like Terminator 3. It's not bad. It's all right.
I can't recall it. I mean, after T2, I was like, I don't know.
No, you don't need to. None of the sequels are that essential, but T3 has at least some good action.
Okay, well, that'd be interesting. Does T2 hold up all these years later? We have, I haven't seen that.
I've watched that every single year of my adult life. Yes, that one. If anything, it's better now because it shows like how.
AI and all that. Shit going on.
Well, more so, yes, that with the story for sure, but like more of just James Cameron's directing as an action film, like just the pacing and the practicality with all the effects. I mean, that movie just gets better and better with age. So I would highly recommend rewatching that one as soon as you can. So, do you want to talk Brad Renfro a little bit? I just rewatched Ghost World not that long ago.
That's where I would go right away with Brad Renfro. Go ahead.
Yeah, not like he doesn't have like a huge part in that movie.
No, not at all.
Definitely one of the better movies he's in.
But super memorable.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing The Client when I was a kid, and he's the young boy in that. And then I don't remember him in Sleepers. He must have been one of the boys. I haven't seen that in a long time, and I've never seen Apt People. So these are just kind of the major ones that are coming up on IMDb in terms of his popularity.
I'll never forget. We had scissors practice, my band, and we were in. We're in. This is like around the same time. A lot of big actors were dying, so every time for some reason we'd be down there, and our drummer's stepdad would come down. That's where we played at our drummer's house in the basement. And his stepdad would come down and be like, Brad Renfro died. And we're all just like, okay, let's get back to the next song, And then like a week later or something, I can't remember exactly what the timing was. He comes down, he's like, Keith Ledger died.
Wait, did you say Keith?
Yeah. He's like, Keith Ledger died. And we're like, okay. And then back to the song. I mean,
was he just upstairs watching TMZ, and that's how you got your vibe?
Maybe, maybe. But I mean, I have these memories of these actors dying by being in band practice the whole time, and yeah, there's also that really terrible photo of him getting busted in L.A. Skid Row for trying to get heroin. Like the end of Brad Renfro's life was pretty sad, and such a talented guy. Clearly in Bully, he's amazing. I mean, I don't think.
No, I mean, every performance is awesome in this, and he, like I said, it's him and Rachel Miner. They have like such like great scenes together, and their individual ones when they're expressing all their rage and frustration.
I thought especially post murder for Renfro, I was like, when he's talking about like I left the sheath.
I see.
I was like, oh man, like this guy. He's really fucked up. He's really lost. And then, that's the other thing. Like he told his dad, can we move? Can we just get out of this? And his dad said at the dinner table, we can't just move because our son is having some problems.
Yeah. Like I said, the parents are like so like woefully uncaring or just, I mean, they just don't give it, like they see nothing. Like they're just so clear that they're just like, I mean, there's even that scene when Bijou Phillips is like asking her mom about like, about murder. If like, what if she saw a murder? And the mom's just like, what are you're just talking crazy talk. It's like, they're so like ambivalent to like, I mean, they're actually saying out loud, like what happened, the murder. And it's like, they're still not even like really engaging with like what is happening with their kids' lives. So, I mean, yeah, we talk about Nick Stahl's performance as Bobby, basically a self-hating gay man, is basically his character. He's obviously gay, and he's basically just expressing his self-hatred with that, and that's why he's doing all the terrible things he's doing. Not to like make any concessions, but like that's how the character's kind of certainly portrayed. And so it is an interesting character to watch, even though it's fucking terrifying. And I was thinking, it's like, what if Stahl and Renfro like switched roles? Like, would it have been better if like they played the opposite characters?
I don't disagree. I thought Nick Stahl was great. It was fine, but I almost think it would be better in the switch of the roles, because there is like a little bit more of a quietness to Brad Renfro, and a little bit more of like what's going on in this guy's head, And the Nick Stahl guy was just kind of like a little normal, right? A little just kind of like, I mean,
he was like overtly monstrous, but like it didn't seem like a lot was going on in his head of like why.
Well, from what I read, that the director wanted him to be in that role because he wanted it to look like this could happen and be just a normal kid or whatever. So in that case, I guess it works,
Yeah, I mean it does work for sure. I'm just interested because they're both awesome actors who I've liked in other stuff and in this movie, so it's just fun to think of like what it would be like, and they're in so many scenes together, so it's like, I mean, that's just like a normal theatrical practice anyway, to just switch roles and see how that goes. So.
And in a way, both characters really aren't like worth saving. Like there's no love for either of them, so they could easily, I think.
No, Renfro's a huge douchebag in this fucking movie. Like the character, like, none of the characters are really like salvageable or anything. Everybody's a fucking scumbag, and it is. And again, like there are a lot of moments where they're small insights to some of the smaller characters where they give like some of their past like trauma or like whatever bullshit they went through growing up. And it's like they're only like 20 and they have like these horror stories of their family's past and like all the shit that's happened to them. So it's not really an excuse, but like it's like filtered in through the characters pretty subtly. And it paints the picture of like everybody's fucked.
Yeah, no, 100%. And also at the time, did you know if this film did well or not? Maybe I didn't.
I can't imagine it did well at all. So
like how is it going to play in theaters for like a mass audience? This is definitely something that you would tell your kids not to see, right?
It opened on July 13th, 2001. Yeah, like right before 9/11, to a total of 6 theaters, later expanding to 20 at its widest. So yeah, certainly didn't make a lot of money in the theater, and was only appreciated and recommended by people like us working at Suncoast. So, and it came out on DVD. So
yeah, because look at this budget and box office budget, 2.1 million. So it wasn't really like a big budgeted film anyway, but the box office made 1.4 million. So it for sure lost money.
Yeah. Thank God they had Eminem sign off on the Forgot About Dre. They would have never afforded that. So
no. Yeah. So did you know much of Michael Pitt before this film?
I mean, like I said, I saw this when it like first came out, so I definitely didn't know him at the time. But I've gone on to watch him. What's the Steve Buscemi movies and Celebrity?
No, I mean, I think. Well, I'm just saying he and Steve Buscemi are in Boardwalk Empire together. Right. Celebrities, that's the Woody Allen film, right?
He's in a movie, I think, directed by Steve Buscemi about. Here, I'm going to look it up right now. I'll find it fast.
Well, while you're looking it up, I just want to say I thought he was terrific in this.
Delirious is the movie. It's from 2006. It's directed by. I'm sorry, it's not directed by Steve Buscemi. Tom DeCillo, starring Steve Buscemi. They play what's it called? People taking pictures for TMZ.
Oh,
paparazzi. Yeah. I just remember that's the first time I had noticed Michael Pitt, and he is awesome in everything I've seen. And yeah, I would rewatch Boardwalk Empire because I only saw it like when it first came out.
It's terrific.
Yeah.
I think Scorsese had something to do with that too. I think he produced.
Oh, he was definitely the producer. Yeah, for sure. It was only 2 seasons.
No, there was a few more than that. Michael Pitt, I heard, was like, just hearsay, but I heard he was very difficult to work with on set, so they actually wrote him out of the show, I think. And the reason you might be thinking of two seasons,
he's spreading these rumors.
He was in two seasons.
That's possible.
But he was like the biggest. He plays Jimmy Darmody, and he was the biggest character on that show, other than Steve Buscemi. Like,
he was the lead, basically.
Yeah, the fact that they would have killed him off was like kind of not in their best interest. So I'm thinking maybe the rumor is true. Anyway, he also, what people might not know is after Joey Ramone died in 2001, they released a video for What a Wonderful World, Joey Ramone's great cover of the Louis Armstrong song. And Michael Pitt was the lead in that music video.
Damn. In 2001? Same year as this movie then?
Yeah.
So he would have been super young at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, like exactly the same year as the movie. Just like why I was watching it with that lens, like, oh, Jesus, a lot was happening for this actor at the time, you know? And Leo Fitzpatrick, the hitman, crazy good in this. They clearly wanted to have a little kids. He plays Telly in Kids, if you recall.
Oh.
So
I definitely don't remember
crossover.
That. So I recognized him because he's in he plays a drug addict in The Wire.
Oh yeah, I've never seen The Wire.
Stephen Weeks, I forget. It's been a minute since I saw him, but he's a reoccurring character in that one, and he's really good. So
gotcha. Well, again, this is
Johnny Weeks. Yeah,
pretty stacked. Cast, and like. Again, when you find out that this is actually based on a true story, it's just a little bit harder to stomach. All right. Well, that's our conversation on Bully.
Product of the time. So.
I'm going to say this. I'll recommend this film because I still was engaged with it for all the reasons we just talked about. Cast is amazing. And it's a nice way to remember that your life hopefully isn't like this, you know? So while the world is pretty fucked up, hopefully your life isn't like this. Things could always be worse. And a little bit of a time capsule too.
Definitely time capsule. If you got parents who look out for you, it's a blessing. If you got friends who don't suggest you murder other people, it's a blessing. So, like I said, I texted you. I was like, oh, shit. I remember watching that when I was a kid. And I was like, this is terrifying me for like graduating high school. This is what life is going to be like. So
you must have been like, what, really the 75th episode, Darren, and you want to watch Bully for the 75th marker? Well, look. I don't know, man. I thought it was a good conversation.
Yeah, why don't you pick something nice? I thought we were going to watch Aladdin or something. I don't know. Seeing a whole new world. I wanted a nice afternoon, and we're watching Bully. No, I 100% recommend this movie. There's no, I absolutely do. And disclaimer, this is a mean, dirty fucking movie.
It is.
Got a lot of sexual violence, a lot of actual violence, physical violence, and it's pretty mean and dirty, but it is, like I said, a time capsule of the era, the vibe of how youth was presented. And Larry Clark is a great director. And it does just kind of capture this sense of how young people led astray can basically become animals. So,
I know for sure there's certain people, and I want to be careful when we say we recommend this, because of the fact that I know for sure, like if I recommend this to my girlfriend, she would never talk to me again. I mean, she can't take a lot of the subject matter that's in here. Rightfully so.
That's why you put the little asterisks on the recommendations.
Yeah. So there's that's it. I recommend it with the asterisk, and that's why I said sometimes it's good to watch these films and realize, like, thank God that's not my life.
Do a double feature with like Wall-E or something. So it's like a little balance of like sweet and salty. So
you can remember that. Yeah. Oh man, Wall-E, what a great film though. Wow. Yep.
All right. Any last thoughts on Bully? Being a bully. What an asshole.
No, I'm good with that. What have you been up to?
All right. What have I been up to? Not much. It's fucking too hot here in Chicago for the 4th. So I was like staying inside and going to the theater. I watched Jurassic World. which was pile of dog crap. I don't know why they keep on making these movies. So, and I was so excited to go see it.
This is the new Jurassic Park?
Okay. With ScarJo. So, yeah. So.
Oh, with ScarJo.
Yeah. It's just a movie that exists. So, although I was really disappointed.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, so I had a good enough time. These movies movies are just, I don't even know what they are anymore. They're just like movie loaf. It's like, I can't even understand like the pacing of some of these movies. Like this movie was like 2.5 hours long, but like it should have been like an hour and 25 minutes. If it was like a short hour and a half movie of action, like I would have probably loved it, but I don't know what's going on with blockbusters anymore. So, but the shitty part about it was I was so eager to leave that I left my book that I had with me.
Oh no!
At the theater, and ironically, I don't read I read tons of different books and mostly philosophy and all different stuff, and sometimes movie books. But this was a movie book. It was Francis Ford Coppola's book called Live Cinema. So it's like I left my copy of Live Cinema at Jurassic World. So if somebody went into the theater and found Francis Ford Coppola's book about live cinema, here I have the jacket still. So this is the book that I'm talking about. The actual book itself is still at the theater, AMC New City here in Chicago.
Why do you call them or anything and say, "Hey, yo, I left my book there"? I'm sure they got a lost and found.
I had like 10 pages left in the book, so I just felt like if some other cinephile discovers it, I don't know. I mean, everybody there likes movies, obviously. So if I went to a movie theater and I found a book by Francis Ford Coppola just hanging out, I'd be like, all right.
I'll Jurassic at Jurassic World. Yeah,
right. I don't know about that audience. So,
well, you'll never know how it ends unless you buy it again. But hopefully, it's a good ending. And whoever is out there, just know that Patrick gifts that to you with his seal of approval for Phantom of the Paradise.
100%. Did you end up seeing Megalopolis? Speaking of Coppola,
no. Not that I don't want to, but just like, funds are tight. So it's like whenever I go to a film, it's got to be like a matinee over at the Vista. And Megalopolis has not been played there. So
I guess he's doing a presentation of it here at the Chicago Theater coming up. So with his live cinema type vibe to it. So.
Yeah, and I know, you said that this movie is going to age well. So I believe you. I think you have some decent taste in film.
The Megalopolis was insane movie. And yeah, it probably will, if anything, become more interesting as it ages. So I had no idea what was happening most of the time, but I knew it was chaotic. So I'm all for that. So
yeah, you don't need to have a plot. I know you.
I think there was plot. There was certainly story about obsession and building a new culture. So I was all for that. So
yeah, could use that nowadays.
Criterion had their sale, so I picked up a couple of new Criterion 4Ks.
Oh no, shit!
Got that coming up. Albert Brooks' Mother, got that just recent. Release on Criterion for that one. Kind of one of my favorite Al Brooks movies. I saw this one like when it first came out when I was a kid, and it was the first Albert Brooks movie that I ever saw. And I've seen his movies since then, but something about this one, it's always kind of stuck with me. I mean, it's such a great fucking comedy. Debbie Reynolds is fucking hilarious in this movie. She plays the most. I haven't seen.
I don't know why, but yeah.
She plays the most passive aggressive asshole mother, and she's fucking hilarious in like every scene. It's like such a great comedy from the 90s. So, and Albert Brooks is awesome. There's a new documentary about him on HBO that I haven't watched in the last couple of years. So I need to check that out. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And then the other one, also another recent new one for Criterion, No Country for Old Men. So,
hell yeah, dude.
Obviously a classic for that one. So,
yeah, I just recently rewatched that. It was on Criterion with some really great extra features. I'm sure they're on the 4K, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm liking it more and more the more I watch it. Because when it first came out, I was like, I liked it. But there were two things that held it back. One, I felt like it was just not as good of a Blood Simple. Like it was basically like a retread of the vibe of Blood Simple, which is still one of my favorite movies of theirs. And also the fact that it took most of the attention away from There Would Be Blood that year, which was just like one of my favorite movies of all time, still is.
Yeah.
Like beating it for the Oscar.
By the way, if you want to go back and listen to our episode on Yeah.
So it's just the fact that got more attention at the time. Both of those reasons are not any reason at all to like hold against the movie. It's just over time, and the more I watch it, the more I appreciate it for like what a fucking masterpiece it is.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
I mean, speaking of like another amazing performance, like Javier Bardem, like just like Heath Ledger, is like not only as good, but like better than like what people say is like every single scene he's in is like amazing to watch.
Lately, I've been seeing him pop up in that he was in that Conan O'Brien Must Go show on HBO, and he is so funny, dude. So funny. He's like he's an all around perfect, celebrity. If you ask me, he kind of got that like European vibe where he's like doesn't really care, but a great actor. And then like not European, but I think he's Spanish, right? Because he's married to Penelope Cruz, I believe, and I think that they live in Spain. So I think that's why Conan was there. I don't know. Anyway, it was a really great episode, and then I saw him recently in the Menendez brothers Ryan Murphy show, which was terrific. He was
yeah, you mentioned that before. Definitely haven't seen it though. So
yeah.
You mentioned Michael Madsen at the beginning. I was going to bring that up. Obviously a fucking beast of cinema through the 90s, and I mean just like in so many movies that me watching it as a youth, like just like showing
Free
like
Willy, huh?
What old school, of course. And Free Willy is actually an amazing movie to watch if you want to see Michael Madsen, because that's like one of the few ones where he's like a genuinely terrific and heartfelt character. It's like he's the stepdad. He's like super nice in that. Like he's always playing lunatics, and so it's to see him successful, not just try to be like a heartfelt character, but like successfully be like a heartwarming character is like awesome. So I would recommend watching Free Willy for that. But I met him briefly with David Carradine. They were doing autographs at the Hollywood Boulevard a long time ago, the theater here in the Chicago suburbs.
Love that place.
When I went to see a double feature with Kill Bill and Reservoir Dogs, so got to talk with him and David Carradine quickly. They're both super cool.
I mean, both of those guys in the room together.
No, that's what I'm saying. It was an energy for sure. So
wow. What did you say to him? Do you remember anything or anything?
No, I just hey, love the movies. Guys do great. Love your work. Yeah. So I mean,
I know you wouldn't have had a long conversation, but still, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm not going to badger him like you do and talk about TMZ stories. So
I saw you on TMZ the other day. Right. I fucking love TMZ is getting better and better, man. I'm telling you.
I'll take your word for it. I'm just going to have to get my updates from you. So,
well, all right. Listen, I can tell you all day long, I'd rather watch TMZ than any other news source, any other CNN, this fucking Fox or whatever, all this bullshit in the world.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that. That's.
But maybe you just don't watch anything, and I get that too.
Yeah.
But if there's going to be any news source, it's TMZ, hands down. All right. Fucking love it.
Look, you just persuaded me onto your page. I'll turn it on tonight. So when I get off the podcast.
I mean, I don't watch it. I just like my doom scrolling really is just a TMZ page, and it's more just like fodder. Like, cool, I'm working really hard, and I need to get like some bullshit to like, calm me down. It's TMZ.
I guess that's what I do with old Mystery Science Theater, 3,000 episodes. So I get you.
Yeah,
we all got our comfort shows, so nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
One last thing on my list. We brought up Liam Neeson really quick. I still am wrapping my brain around the fact that he's in the new Naked Gun movie, and this is actually happening. With like there's a reboot, a remake of the Naked Gun, and I've seen the preview twice now, and I'm just like, I just didn't know it was happening. I had no idea Liam Neeson was in it, and how much it's like obviously trying to stay in line because there's jokes about the original with Leslie Nielsen in it. So
yeah,
I don't know what to expect from that. I know we fucking love Leslie Nielsen on this podcast. I absolutely would love to cover the original Naked Gun on the podcast, but I have no idea. It's just still bananas for me to think that it's existing, and also the fact that it's a big budget comedy in the theater. So
yeah, like right now, maybe it's what we need.
That never happens anymore. So I'm kind of excited for that.
I know it feels good. Of course, another reboot, right? It's like that's the only
True,
thing.
but that's a comedy. It is a comedy is a little different. It is. I mean, it's basically a sequel to those original movies.
Yeah, yeah.
But
and it's been a while,
Yeah.
People, yeah.
So I don't know. Like I'm all for seeing it. It just was crazy to me that it's happening in that way with Liam Neeson in it. And I don't know. Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I saw the recently somebody posted that they have a poster for it, and it's Liam Neeson, and he's holding the gun. Have you seen it?
Is it the Pam Anderson with the hands?
It's not Pam Anderson.
Oh, okay. I saw a different. I've seen a bunch of great posters.
It has to do with
which
his
one
hands,
are you talking about?
though.
Okay.
So he's holding the gun.
Yeah,
and it says something like, "No AI was used in the making of this poster," and in the gun, it's got like an extra thumb. The AI like stuff.
I think I saw the same one. Basically, Pam Anderson is like holding on him, so it basically is in that same vein. So and talk about like great casting. Pam Anderson doing the
Priscilla
Presley role. It's like that's like fucking perfect casting for a reboot. So I love that.
And people are loving Pamela Anderson these days. After her, I don't even know, like Sofia Coppola's daughter or like another Coppola was like part of it. Like there was like another like.
These fucking Coppolas are everywhere.
Everywhere, man. They're fucking everywhere. But like, but there was like a film with Pamela Anderson that I did want to see, and she was like the last showgirl.
I saw that it existed. I definitely didn't see it though. So I didn't know it was Sofia Coppola's daughter. How old is she?
I don't know if it's her daughter or not, but it's some sort of Coppola for sure.
They're all over the place.
They are.
But we cover Coppola's here with every Nick Cage movie. So
exactly.
Yeah. So
and then Schwartzman, we got that going.
We'll just put on Coconut Records and rock out.
Oh, so good. Okay, well, cool. Anything else to partake in before we move on to our music picks of the week?
No, that's all I got. You watching anything? Any other recommendations other than Bully?
We watched gosh, I can't remember exactly what we've been watching. Kind of escaping me right now. But yeah, here and there I'm putting stuff on in between like the crazy amount of work that I'm doing to just try to like make ends meet over here, because it's fucking it's crazy in the world right now. So I'm just working as hard as I can, just keep ahead of it and looking out for any sort of opportunities that arise out in the world for a graphic designer such as myself, an artist. And that's been consuming my time, really, man. I've been working on that and doing some actually online content in the between stuff that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I kind of have the time right now. So I've been doing this thing called cemetery dates that I just collected. I posted one, but I'm doing that on my Patreon mostly, and it's cool because I've been wanting to do that for a while. I've had this idea to just kind of like, if I'm going to be like a TikTok guy, like I've always been obsessed with like celebrity graves and shit. When I go to like any kind of like town, I like want to go like, oh, where's like the local cemetery and who's buried here, So anyway, I've been kind of doing that, and I just did one on Fred Armisen today. So Fred Armisen over at Hollywood Forever has an In Futurum, and I noticed this in like 2019 when I first visited here, and I was like, man, what the fuck, Fred Armisen? What the hell? So anyway, that video is up now, but it's just a little plaque that says Fred Armisen in Futurum. And he's talked about it in the past, like where he's like, I want to be buried at Hollywood Forever Cemetery. It kicks ass. They have movies that play there all the time. And
I thought you were telling me that Fred Armisen died. So I don't know.
No. But hopefully that's the stick that happens. And then, it goes viral. And then all of a sudden Remainders is the biggest podcast in the world. And I can retire on that, so we'll see.
All right. I know you love your cemetery. So
I sure do. If
anybody listening has got,
everyone's dying to get into those places.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just love it. If anybody's got good cemetery picks, Darren will appreciate them. So
yeah, that's right. So that's cool. I've been enjoying the fact that we've done pretty well online with a lot of our stuff. It's kind of been rolling, like people watching, I think, so on YouTube and all that. And I definitely wish that it would keep going that way, because I love knowing that people are finding this stuff. Finally, we've been doing this podcast for about 5 years, and getting a little traction is nice. So yeah, if you're on YouTube and listening to this, thanks a lot. Smash that like and follow. Give us a follow. I'm going to go into my song of the week, and it's inspired by Bully, believe it or not. It's not Eminem.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to do Criminal by Eminem. So.
No, but I love that song.
Is I'm a criminal.
Every time I write a rhyme, but because I'm a criminal. Anyway, that song rules. Eminem rules. That 2013 album that he did with Rick Rubin is kick fucking ass. And this is Sean Lennon. I'm going in a different route, and I don't know if you know why I'm picking this.
Sean Lennon, son of Yoko Ono.
John Lennon. Yeah, clearly.
You're asking me why you're going with Sean Lennon on this episode. Is there any Nepo Baby stuff in Bully? I don't know.
I mean, Bijou Phillips is Nepo Baby for sure. If you really want to say it that way. Okay. But it has to do with Bijou Phillips. She and he, from what I understand, dated. And in 2006...
You got this from TMZ, so...
Well, no, but this was like... Sean Lennon put out a record in 2006 called Friendly Fire. I love the record. That record was... At the time, he was getting a lot of shit for sounding like his dad. But in reality, when you heard about what this song and then not this song, but this record was about, is that he was dating Bijou Phillips. Bijou Phillips left him. From what I understand, I could have the story wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is how it goes. Left him or cheated on him with his best friend. His best friend then died in a motorcycle accident. And he wrote this record called Dead Meat about it, and it's called Friendly Fire.
Jesus.
Yeah. And Bijou Phillips, who's in Bully, was kind of the person that he was dating and then left him, and then kind of, probably a weird time in all of their lives, as like his best friend is like now with his girlfriend, and then he dies. So yeah, it's called Dead Meat, and I'm just gonna go with the opening. So there's a lot of songs that I love on it, but I'm just gonna go with the opening song called Dead Meat by Sean Lennon off of Friendly Fire.
Oh yeah. I've actually never heard a Sean Lennon album, so I'd be happy to hear that. You said you like the whole album?
Yeah, I do. I saw Sean Lennon in concert at Talia Hall, I believe it was, and he's been playing with his girlfriend. I don't think they're married, but Charlotte Kemp Mall for a long time now. And they are artists. Like, every time you hear him play, it's something different, something weird, something. He's written scores for films, psychedelic period. He's a real artist. This is like one that is definitely more up my alley as far as the music goes. So yeah, we'll see what you think.
Fuck yeah. I'm excited to check it out. Although I will say, with calling him an Nepo Baby and whatnot, like for him to have the balls to be a musician, right? It's a little different. It's not the same as just like being. But
he's talented as fuck. There's no.
That's what I'm saying. So, but that's also like it's not like being the same, but being born to somebody, an insider to Hollywood, and then getting like all the castings for like movies. Because you can bullshit that, but music is a little different, especially if your dad's John Lennon. So I definitely would not put that under the same blanket as that. So, all right, awesome. I'll check that out. My song pick, going with the little Ella Fitzgerald, some old school jazz. My song is "Taking a Chance on Love." I rewatched the movie Distant Voices, Still Lives. I don't know if you're familiar with this movie.
No.
Fantastic movie from Terrence Davies. It's got such a dreamlike style to it, and the music is extremely integral to the direction of it. Terrence Davies was a novelist who became a film director, and I can say with confidence that the fact that like he spent so much of his life writing and then becoming a film director is why he focused so much focus so much on on the music, because it's one of the few things you cannot do at all in literature. It's just like kind of we talked about in Mad Max Fury Road, like the sight and the sound is like what's prominent in that. So story doesn't matter, plot doesn't matter. It's what you see and what you hear is what matters. And he's kind of that director. So there's a quote, "In memory, everything happens to music," that I love, that kind of like describes the vibe of this movie, because it's all about memories and the sound of them. And so that's kind of his style of directing it. But the song "Taking a Chance on Love" by Ella Fitzgerald was a standout song featured in the movie that I love. Love her old school jazz voice. So definitely something.
I love Ella Fitzgerald. That's cool. I don't think I know the tune. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah, I just quickly looked up. I mean, it's certainly not on any of her like most prominent, most streamed or anything. So is, I guess, a little bit of a deeper cut. So cool. Good one to check out. So
yeah.
That's what I'm going with.
Well, right on, man. I guess, hopefully we lighten it up for next episode. I apologize. Last time I'm going to go in blind with a film. Again, we didn't dislike the film, but
no. I mean, I do recommend it quite a bit. So
yeah, there's Criterion's been putting out a lot of great stuff, and I usually go there for my picks. I had started that film, and like before it got into like any kind of madness, I had suggested it, and I'm glad I did. But this is our 75th episode now, and I maybe in retrospect would have picked something that I liked a little bit more for 75, but that's okay. Bully is still a cool film. Glad we talked about it, and yeah, I guess see you next time with your pick.
Yeah, we kind of have been doing like the more prominent movies with the landmark episodes, so we can probably keep that going. So I don't know, but this one a little different. So yeah, we're looking at either dystopian or film or a punk rock fight film. So for next time,
yeah,
so just give you a little tease. It'll be one of those. So
okay, can't wait.
All right, brother.
All right, Pat. Good to talk to you, man. Enjoy yourself over there and stay cool in that summertime heat in Chicago.
I'm trying. Talk to you later, bud.
Talk to you. Bye.